Recording. All right, cool. I guess to just like break the ice, um, how you doing today? How's everything with you?
I'm doing good. I recently started a new job after not working for like over a year, and it was really tough because I had fractured my elbow and was going through like really bad seasons of depression and anxiety and just weird things were happening, and it was just a weird, tough year. But today I feel great.
That's good.
And yeah, I feel really good.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you feel great.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess we could jump into it off the bat. So you presented two spoken word pieces at the I Love My Melanin poetry event back on, what was it, February 15th?
Right.
Um, and the first one was SOS, and the next one was anxiety, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Got it
so
right.
I bet. So I wanted to start off with SOS. I know you had touched on, I feel like the main point, correct me if I'm wrong, was the loss of your father, right?
Mhm.
That piece. Um, but yeah, so I wanted to know from you what inspired that piece, um, the different subjects that you touched on within
What's interesting about that piece is that it really was just, it started off as just like me rambling.
it.
And then I just ended up rambling into the the loss of my father, as you mentioned. And I just went with it. And I decided to just speak on how I felt instead of avoiding it like I usually would. I avoided it for years. Like I kind of touched on it in the poem, like for those, who really were able to connect and listen to what I was saying. I I really decided to stop fighting the healing process because what I realized is that once you finally decide to face these things and actually talk about it and deal with what you're feeling, it becomes easier to deal with. Because you kind of just learn to, and well, for me anyway, I kind of just learned to just go with it and just take the good out of the bad, like find the silver lining of it all. I've been going to therapy for the past 6 years, actually, maybe seven, about 7 years now.
Mhm.
Um, Long time. And I I realized that previously I had like a really negative mindset towards life, and it was because of a multitude of things just into one. But I was just like making mistakes, like really like messed up mistakes, and then like ended up like hurting a few people along the way, like because I wasn't dealing with my shit. Like, and I wasn't dealing with my pain. I wasn't dealing with the loss of my dad for all of these years, and I didn't realize how much it was affecting me until I got older and I had to really reflect on my own I had to reflect on the part I played in every situation in my life. And it was really therapeutic to kind of just put it into my poem. I talked about the mistakes I've made and the people I've betrayed and how I felt like my dad wouldn't let me live my life that way. And I really meant that. Like, I really felt like if he was here at times, that I would have at least someone who understands me,
Mhm.
like through it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, and who was there for me because, he's my parent.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, I didn't have that. And I really had a really tough relationship with my mom growing up. So, um, I'm not trying to turn this into a therapy session. I'm sorry,
Nah,
but
go ahead. It's okay. That's all right.
but yeah, I just through it all, I just decided, like, you know what, let me just put it all into the poem. Like everything that I feel, everything that I've been through. Uh, I touched base, like I touched a little bit on it. Like I didn't go into great detail as much as I've actually could have. It would
Hmm.
have been like a book at that point. But
Yeah.
but needless to say, I feel like I did pretty good at least getting people to understand me. And it feels like this is a good way to do so. Not that I need people to understand me,
Yeah.
but it is nice. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody wants to feel understood, like regardless of what they say. Like I feel like in some way, by someone. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Got it. I understand completely. I actually lost my father back in 2020,
Really?
and yeah,
My condolences.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. But yeah, so like dealing with that, I know exactly how you feel, especially when you had touched upon the point of having someone there to understand what you're going through or even give advice. Um, Losing a parent, especially one that you're very close to, can be a very difficult thing. So I know exactly what that feels like. And one thing that I've been trying to implement these days is I don't know if this might sound like crazy or something or unorthodox, but at times I see like now that my father has passed away, I see him as like my angel in a way. So
Hmm.
now that he's like transcended onto the other side, he's now with me wherever I go. Like, whereas in the physical world, let's say, that parent can only be there like physically when you come home or if you go to dinner with them or when you wake up in the morning. But now it's like they're there with you wherever you go. So that kind of looking at it that way elevated the confidence that I had when I went through different situations. Cause it's like, when your father is there with you, you're able to, there's like, it's you and your father against the world. Like nobody can shy you away from everything because your father would be like, nah, go ahead and do it.
Hmm.
Or, they would allow you or give you that space to feel safe in whatever action that you take. So that's one thing that has been helping me out. And if you haven't already, I would suggest trying it out and see if you become comfortable with it because it's helped me a lot.
That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with me. I actually, I'm here with you, man. I've kind of shifted my mind that way as well
Mhm.
because, again, if I were to explain to you my life, like it would be like a whole feature, like film. Like it would be a lot. Like, but I'm sure that's for everybody, of course. But of course, I've only lived my own life, so I can only tell you my experiences. And
Mhm.
they were pretty insane. And I feel like if my dad were here, there would have been a couple of times where he might have gone to jail for some of the things and people have done, like to affect me and like the way people have treated
Mhm.
me, and like he was very protective of me.
Yeah.
So that kind of ties into what you said. Like, I feel like if he were like physically here, there would only be so much he could do, and then that would make him upset. And then he would probably like over, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, probably like be overprotective.
Mhm.
Um, because he kind of was when I was a kid. But I get it, you know what I'm saying? Now that I'm an adult, I don't
Mhm.
feel like he was overprotective, but when I was a kid, it felt like overprotective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this world is crazy and I get it now. And I think that's what makes me even more sad. It's like, wow, I get it. I get why he was like that. Like, and it makes me sad that I can't tell him, like, I understand now,
Mhm.
but it is what it is. And he knows. I guess he knows. Like, like you
Mhm.
said, like he's here all the time. I'm sure. Like, I know he wouldn't like not be here in a way.
Yeah.
I know my dad, like,
Mhm.
so like it is a different, interesting way to think about it. And I don't have to worry about him anymore or at
Yeah.
all. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
because he's just not here. So it's like, okay, well, I don't have to worry about the multitude of things that could happen to him on this earth. Like, I don't know, like with black men just getting killed just randomly just for being black and things like that. Because my dad lived in the South, like,
Hmm.
and he was not one to be played with at all. Like,
Yeah.
he did not back down. Like, he's not pussy. Like, so, and he
Hmm.
had two guns and he would walk around with them on a holster.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like if anybody tried him, it might have been a problem for real at some point.
Yeah.
So maybe like at least because my dad actually passed away in a motorcycle accident.
No way.
So yeah, and he loved motorcycles. So I was like, well, at least he went out doing something he loved. Like, and it wasn't like something like really bad. Like it was something really bad because it was an accident, but it wasn't like he got into a fight or he got sick. Like it wasn't something like that. Like it was like he was actually going home from work
Mhm.
and then he got into an accident. But
I'm
you know,
sorry
what
that.
can you do? It's okay. Um, I've really learned to just accept it. Like these things happen. I'm not the only person this has happened to. Um, it's just that it's unfortunate, you know. But I've learned that my experiences can help other people. There was one person at the poetry slam who stopped me to after I performed and told me that she also recently lost her father and she
Mhm.
wanted to talk about it. But she she I guess wasn't ready to, which is fine. Or I'm not sure, I don't want to speak for her, but you know,
Mhm.
it was it was really nice to hear that she felt like me talking about it was like, you know, somewhat helpful to her. And
Mhm.
that was all I wanted. Like that was literally all I wanted was for one person to feel like, wow, like that meant a lot. Like, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
'cause I really poured my all. Well, not my all, because it could have been a lot more, but I
Mhm.
put my heart into that poem. I definitely did.
Yeah.
And to both poems, actually.
Mhm. All right. I could feel it. I could feel it. Um,
Thank you.
no problem. I have one more question that I wanted to touch on for that piece, SOS.
Sure.
If you could ask your father one question, what would it be and why?
That is insane. I've never been asked that before in my life. Okay, let me sit with this for a second, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity right now. So, mm, okay. I mean, I guess this is just something I would ask him personally, but like I'll share it. Like because he had like a really tough journey. Like, you know what I'm saying? We all did. You know, we all have being black, especially in America. He came to America when he was 17
Mhm.
from Guyana.
Yeah.
And then he met my mom and then she was it was just like a whole thing. It was a lot. It was a whole thing. I wish I could like really explain it all to you, but I would just ask him like, would you do it all again? Like everything. Like,
Mhm.
is there anything you would change? Like, what is what is your biggest regret of life? I guess I have so many questions, you know.
Yeah.
I can't keep it to one, honestly. Like
Mhm.
because like I have never been able to speak to him as an adult
Mhm.
because he died when I was 12. So it was tough and I have a million and one questions.
Mhm.
But if I had to keep it to one, it would definitely be like, would you do everything the same again?
Mhm.
Everything. Like, yeah.
Got you. Got you.
Hmm.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for
Of
sharing that.
course.
Mhm. All right. So moving into the piece anxiety,
Hmm.
what what inspired that piece?
So, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned, I said a lot of things today. Um,
That's okay.
I think I mentioned earlier that I suffer from depression anxiety. Um, I go through different seasons of depression. I have major depressive disorder. I also have um seasonal depression. I suffer really bad seasonal depression. That's why I said to you earlier that I feel great today. It's
Yeah,
60 degrees in New York City. I'm in
yeah,
my favorite t-shirt. It's
yeah.
it's great. But
Mm,
yeah, I was going to work one morning at this new job that I've been going to, and I was late and I started to feel so anxious about it because like I'm at this new job and I don't even know if people like me. I mean, I've been there like almost like a little over a month now and I'm much more comfortable. Um, but like I was just really anxious just about life. And I was just like, oh my God, should I even be here? Because like I don't know how good I'm doing or whatever. Like, I just was feeling so anxious that morning. And then I was thinking about my anxiety and I was thinking about how it makes me feel. And then all of a sudden it started to rhyme in my head. So I
mm,
just started to write it down.
yeah,
And then I just really dug deeper, like into what I was really feeling. Again, I had to like really dig deep to like make it make sense and make it flow. Because I realize it's like the more truthful you are, the better the art is. It's so weird. Um, so yeah, I just had to really dig deep and figure that out. Like figure out how to really make it feel authentic.
yeah, yeah.
And
That kind
it was
of,
really not that hard. Like honestly, like it's the more I'm writing, the easier it's getting. Like
right.
practice really does make perfect, but it hasn't even so much been practice for me. It's been therapy. Like it's just that if for some reason in my head it just can start to rhyme after a while. Like literally, I heard the first line in my head. Like of course I hear it all in my head and then I write it down. But like the first line was like, my anxiety is defeating me. I was literally feeling that in that very moment. And then just the next line came up in my head. It's sucking my energy and depleting me. I feel like I can't breathe. I want to leave. Like these were all my authentic feelings, and it just happened to rhyme. Like I don't know what that's about, but like it's just that's literally how I come up with like these things.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That actually ties into another question I wanted to ask.
Oh,
Um, as far as self-healing goes,
hmm
would you say that, well, kind of like twofold, what does self-healing look like for you as you grow through your anxiety? And then also and I feel like you touched on it, has writing been one of those forms of healing for you? For once again, like growing past that anxiety.
Mm-hmm. All right. First question was, what does healing look like for me?
Mm,
All right. So personally, it for me, it might look very different. Or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. But what I know is that I realized I had to spend a lot of time with myself. I used to really have this issue, and I still have it sometimes because I get lonely. I feel like we all do at times. I don't know anybody who doesn't um at this point in life. But I feel like at times I got lonely and I would try to fill up that space with people who didn't need to be there.
mm,
And it was it was really draining and it was really messing up my perspective on myself and how I felt about myself and all of these things. And I started to realize after a while, it's coming from how people have made me feel, and it contributes to the negative mindset that I already had at the time. So I just needed to take some time to just step back and like really learn to really just learn who I was and listen to my body, listen to my feelings and my emotions, and figure out where it's coming from, where it's deriving from, if it's coming from a certain time of my life or certain times where certain things have happened repeatedly and I didn't understand why. And I was
Mm,
starting to get older and realize it was because I was letting them. And it was because I didn't know how to defend myself, didn't know how to stand up for myself. Like it was just a lot. It was a
mm,
lot going on in my life. And it was really starting to mess with my mental health. And I felt like I was dying. Like I felt like I couldn't breathe. Like I felt like I just like the life was just too much. Like it was just unbearable. And I just felt like I wasn't strong enough. And I felt like if I had my dad, everything would have been better. But I
mm,
had to really tell myself maybe that's not necessarily, I mean, of course it's true to an extent, but maybe it's not as true as I think it is. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe I just needed to learn to really stand on my own 2 feet. Because if my dad was here, I would have definitely been leaning on him for everything.
mhm,
Um, for sure. I know myself and I know him. We would have been really, maybe we would have not allowed each other to like really like be, or maybe he wouldn't have been able to. I don't know, but like all of these things go through my head. But
yeah.
anyway, I just feel like I needed to just learn to just be strong on my own because I was too dependent, codependent on the people around me, on whatever partner I might have been dealing with at the time,
Mhm,
on my family to an extent. Like it, I mean, of course you can depend on your family, but
yeah.
still, like I feel like I needed to just learn to be strong on my own. I'm still learning. It's been
Mhm.
hard working this big girl job every day. Like
Yeah.
I don't that's not that I don't like it, but it's like it can be a lot of pressure and it can have some effect on you. So I
Yeah.
try to be strong and I try to like fight through it, but it does get hard at times. And I feel like as a Black woman, sometimes we're expected to just deal with things and just roll with the punches. And I don't like
Mhm,
that. Don't like that. And it's not cool because it makes us feel like some of us feel like we can't express ourselves. And I'm sure Black men can attest to this to some extent. Like
mhm,
it's really tough to really express ourselves because we haven't always had the space to, you
mhm.
know? So I had to really just fight my own fight and just like find my way on my own. Um, there was this quote. I don't usually
Yeah.
share quotes by people, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it today because I love this person so much.
All right.
Um, there was this quote by Beyonce,
Mhm,
in her 2020 commencement speech, sh- that she did, and it was posted on YouTube on her YouTube channel. Um, I don't want to butcher it, but she said, if they're not allowing you on their stage, build your own stage. And I had to really like learn what that meant. It's not even just for an artist, it's for anyone. Like, if people are not allowing you the space to be yourself, you just have to make the space for yourself and show them, like, and not even show them to show them, show yourself, like, show yourself that you can be whoever you want to be. Because sometimes the world will tell you that you can't. I've
mhm.
been told more than once that I can't do something, and it's not nice, like,
Mhm.
and especially when it's come from someone close to you. But you know what? You got to prove them wrong. You got to prove yourself right or
Yeah.
wrong. That as long as it's in the direction of positivity and love towards yourself
Yeah.
and others, I feel like you are okay. And just being healthy. Just I feel like if you could just focus on being healthy, especially mentally,
Mhm.
everywhere else, of course, but especially mentally, then I feel like everywhere else will follow.
Yeah. Uh,
And I'm sorry, that was one question. The
You
other
don't gotta
question
be
was about
sorry. That's good.
the other one was about writing. So
Mhm,
as far as writing goes, I've realized my therapist has been telling me for the past like 3 years. that I need to write. And I've been fighting it because it would hurt every time. Like I would start
Mhm.
writing in my journal about how I'm feeling. This was before I really got into poetry. I was just trying to write about how I felt. I would cry and I'll close the book and I'll move on. And I
Mhm.
felt like I didn't like I wasn't getting anywhere. I was just getting going in circles. But for some reason, falling into therapy, not therapy, sorry, poetry. Falling
Mhm.
into poetry helped me to really learn that there is a way to actually make this beautiful. Like
Mhm.
all the pain, everything. Like there is a way to actually make it make sense and make it just like worth something. Like it gotta be worth something. All the fucking pain, all the tears, all of that. It has to be worth something at this point. And this is what it's worth for me. Like,
Yeah.
and it's actually really nice. I really love doing poetry.
Mhm. Do you feel like being able to perform it has developed your, let's call it like desire to keep on expressing yourself in that way as a form of healing?
Absolutely. And I didn't and I don't want like people to think that like you have to perform to like make yourself feel better. But for me personally, it's been really helpful because I like to express myself in a healthy manner, and help people to really connect. I like to connect with people. Like I really like to connect with people on a different level. Like this whole conversation is like really therapeutic for me. Like I really like connecting with people and just like trying to really go there. Like I actually hate small talk. Like,
Mhm.
oh, how was your day? Like how was work? How was I don't know, like because people are gonna say fine anyway. So
Mhm.
well for the most part anyway. So it's like I'd rather really talk about like, oh, how are you feeling? Like what
Mhm.
happened to you this morning? Like what did you eat? Like like I really like
Yeah.
to like really be on a real personal level with people
Right.
at times, the right people, and
Yeah.
sometimes those people might present themselves as the right people and turn out to be the wrong ones, but still
Mhm.
you have to have discernment and
Mhm.
really pay attention. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad that you feel that way. I'm glad that you feel that way. I feel the same as well as far as that small talk situation. I feel like these days,
Hmm.
um, just as a quick note, far going, that it might cut out, like the Zoom might cut out in like 10
Okay.
minutes, but if it does, just jump right back in.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, like I was saying, I've been getting more comfortable with not just giving that, how was your day? It was good response. Because I
Hmm.
feel like, I don't know, it's kind of a passive aggressive response in a way. Because there's things that not only I go through, but other people go through that they probably would like to share. But sometimes that door isn't open to share that response because we only give responses like, oh, it's good. Out of the fact that I know, like for me, sometimes I think they probably don't want to hear a full length story, like what happened throughout the day. But sometimes it's good to at least give a snippet of it
Hmm.
to one, get it off your chest, and to also see where the conversation might lead. And like you said, it might not be a conversation everybody might want to have, but for those that do or are able to pick up on what you're trying to give to them, um, it creates an open conversation that could lead to things that could heal both you and the other person. So I resonate with what you're saying a lot.
Oh God. Ugh, this is so nice. So
Yeah, it
thank
is.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Um, my last question was, how have you grown through anxiety? But I feel like you've touched on it. But if you'd like to share more, please do.
Yes, I don't mind.
Mhm.
Um, so well, yes, because I feel like I have a bit. because my anxiety really derived from, for the most part, acceptance. I'm now starting to realize, like even right in this very moment, it really derives from acceptance and feeling loved and having that desire for adoration, and because I just never felt like I got that. Like, and now that I'm an adult, and I have gotten it now, like in the recent years, like I've met new friends and developed different relationships with people and have really learned what healthy relationships look like.
Hmm.
And once you learn that and you realize that you do have it in your life, it's like the most amazing feeling. Even if it's like two people,
Hmm.
like it's amazing. And so honestly, that has really helped me to heal. I'm not gonna lie. And it really is your environment sometimes. Most times, maybe all the time. Having a healthy environment is important. And if you don't, you gotta figure out how to change it for real.
Hmm.
Like I didn't have a healthy environment before. I didn't have a healthy group of people around me. So I had to change that. And I feel so much better. Like, I feel like I have accepted myself a lot more. And like, I have learned to really just sit with myself, deal with my feelings, and learn to also like take responsibility for the things that have gone wrong in my life that I've contributed to. So I just, it's helped me to grow, absolutely. In a way. Like my anxiety, it hasn't helped me to grow, but I've grown through it. And I have just really learned to accept myself and not feel like the awkward Black girl all the time. Um, because that is, man, the amount of times in my life I've been called awkward, it's not
Hmm.
funny. But and I really started to feel that way. And like when people don't understand power of words, the power of the tongue, because like I feel like if I wasn't called that so many times, I wouldn't feel like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but people will project what they feel about you, or what they might even feel about themselves onto you. They might not feel like, I don't know, some people have a problem with other people's existence. And
Hmm.
that is so weird to me. So I feel like, what is my awkward self? Like, how is that bothering you? Like, you know what I'm saying? To the point where you gotta tell me I'm awkward.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I never cared to really like sit there and assess somebody's personality unless it's affecting me or unless like I really care. And even then, like I would not do it in a way to make them feel less than or make them feel negative about themselves, you know? Like I feel like that's so weird to do that to somebody.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand completely. The power of the tongue is very strong, and
Hmm.
environment is a very key factor in just how we move about our day. Like one thing, like a simple thing I try to do, at least like when I wake up, is like make my bed, like because it kind of adds to, all right, I was able to make the bed, the place where I'm sleeping is set. And
Hmm.
also it's kind of like even if let's say the day goes not in my favor, quote unquote,
Hmm.
at least I got a safe space to come to
Oh,
that's
yes.
made like everything is good. So environment is definitely key. Even like they got those, I think it's like the reference of what is it? I think it's like goldfish or some animals when they're in like a closed environment, they may not grow to their fullest size. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you give that goldfish a larger bowl, it'll grow larger because it's now in an environment where it was meant to be in. So
That's
that
beautiful.
yeah.
It's a very beautiful analogy.
So
Use that.
that in and of itself, yeah, it's crazy how a lot of things that we may need answers to in life are reflected in nature. It's pretty funny when
Mm.
that happens sometimes.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and then once again, like the power of the tongue. I know in most religions, when they talk about the beginning, it was like God first said, like, let there be. And then the first thing he said was like, let there be light. And there was light. And it was all words that were spoken. And through that, we created or he created the world around us. He or she created the world around us. Um, so it's definitely powerful in the words that we choose to say to one another, the words that we choose to speak to ourselves. It's very important. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So like we as people, I actually wrote another poem about this. We not only as people, but as Black people, I feel we've got to be kinder to each other and not so judgmental and harsh because like it can really affect like some of our own views on ourselves, you know? Not everybody's as strong as you think they are. And I'm not saying like be like childlike with each other, but you know what I'm saying? Just be kinder. Like we don't got to be so judgmental and aggressive and calling people names and stuff like that and labeling people like that is so weird to me. Just let people be and mind your business. And that's it. Like that's how I dead feel all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm so like low key. I feel like.
Yeah. I understand.
Um,
I understand. But yeah, those are the questions that I had for you. And once again, I just want to personally thank you so much for being willing to share your story like that with all of us with the audience that night. It was really appreciated. And I know those people were feeling it too. And I'm glad that, you know, you were able to or someone was able to um feel open to talking about their situation with you as well.
me too. Me too. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. It felt like something I needed to do.
Mhm.
I was rehearsing all week, to and from work. I would be on the train reading, reciting. I know the people on the train thought it was crazy, but I did not care. I was sitting there reciting to myself over and over and over. Practice really does make perfect to the point where, like, now I can say the whole thing without like thinking about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, practice makes perfect.
Definitely does. It definitely does. I do want to ask, so if we had another one, another
Hmm.
poetry jam, would you want to perform again?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I would even be down to like doing one like in Atlanta or something, because I know you said you're in Atlanta and my mom lives there and I
Yeah.
plan to visit her soon. So like just so that you don't have to like go back and forth. But yeah, yeah, I would be down. Absolutely. Like